What is going on YouTube? Today I'm back, and today I'll be doing my March Madness bracket. So of course, the playing games for tonight, two of them were already over, but this is the first time I can get around to really recording it. But without further ado, I'm going to get into it. Of course, we have UConn and Stetson. Of course, UConn's going to win that one easily. Then we have FAU versus Northwestern. Now, of course, FAU is known for going on that run last year. It was phenomenal, but I do still think that they are better than Northwestern. But I don't think that they'll probably get as far as they did last year, but still. Next up, we have San Diego State and UAB. Now, this is one of those infamous 5B12 matchups. And typically, a lot of people think that the 12th seed will have the upper hand in this one. I don't think that UAB is one of those good 12 seeds. However, San Diego State, I also think that they are trending downward. But I think that they will edge out this game relatively easily. So next up we have Auburn and Yale. Auburn's on fire right now. Honestly, I think they should have been a 3 seed. When they win the SEC tournament, they have incredible depth. And really, when they play teams that they're just clearly better than, they typically destroy them. I mean, our closest win this year was 7 points against Mississippi State in the tournament. And I think that we typically have the upper hand in a neutral site game. Auburn crowd will typically travel. And Yale, I'm not impressed with them at all. They just barely beat Brown in the championship, and Brown has a losing record. So, I am an Auburn fan, but I think that we got this in the bag. Anyway, BYU versus Duquesne. Now, Duquesne's been doing really good right now, but BYU, they seem to be one of those teams that overall, this year, they've been solid. First year in the Big 12. I think that they keep the ball rolling. Solid team overall, so I'm picking them. Next up, we got Illinois versus Morehead State. Now, Illinois, they did just win the Big Ten championship. I think they're a good team, the best of the 3 seeds. So I think that they're going to keep it rolling. Next up, we got Washington State versus Drake. I think that Washington State is a solid team. That being said, I think that this is kind of they're not used to really being in the tournament that much, and I think that this is kind of new territory. I think they're mostly just happy to be here. So I got Drake in this one. I think that they do have a chance of going on a run. Iowa State and South Dakota State. Iowa State, very impressive. They absolutely obliterated Houston in the Big Ten tournament, so I got them. All right. And yes, Wagner did just beat, who was it? Howard, but they're going to lose to North Carolina. I don't have a 16 seed winning this year. I know it happened last year and it can happen, but yeah. Next up, we have Mississippi State versus Michigan State. I'm going to go with the Bulldogs in this one. I haven't been impressed by Tom Izzo's Michigan State team this year. Overall, I think that his run of dominance there is over. I don't think that they're nearly as competitive as they used to be. Still a solid team, but they're not going to be making the Final Four very often like they have been. So, next up we have St. Mary's versus Grand Canyon. I have St. Mary's. I think they're a good team. They're the best team in the West Coast Conference, which is an anomaly considering that Gonzaga has been dominating that conference. So yeah, I got them. Next up, we have Alabama and College of Charleston. I got Alabama in this one. They have offensive firepower. They're going to put up a lot of points. I don't think that Charleston can really keep up with them. All right, now we have Clemson and New Mexico. New Mexico has been doing great. Clemson, as of recently, they've looked dead in the water. I just don't see them winning this game. I'm gonna go with New Mexico. All right, now we have Baylor and Colgate. Baylor's a very good team, as always. I do think that some people might be thinking that this is the potential upset. I'm just not really seeing it. So I'm going to go with Baylor. All right, now we have Dayton and Nevada. I'm calling the upset. I'm going with Nevada here. I might look silly when this comes out, but we got to predict some upset here every once in a while. And I know it's not that big of an upset, 7 versus 10, but I see a lot of people high on Dayton. I'm just not buying it. Okay, now Arizona over Long Beach State 2. Okay, so in the South bracket, Houston over Longwood, that's relatively easy. Now we got Nebraska and Texas A&M. Now this one's tough because I might seem a bit biased to the SEC, but I'm picking Texas A&M. They're a tough, scrappy team, and I think that they can win a long, hard-fought game overall. I think that a team relatively evenly matched, they are going to pull it out. I think Wade Taylor is going to give them enough points, and along with that, I just think that they'll tough it out. Okay, now Wisconsin and James Madison. So this is very interesting. Wisconsin, they looked dead in the water at the end of the regular season, but they went on an absolutely crazy run in the Big Ten tournament, upsetting Purdue. So, I mean, this is a team at this point, it is hard to pick against them, but James Madison is that 112 seed. They got an incredible record. They've been completely dominant this year, albeit against a weaker schedule. So I'm going to call James Madison here. I do think that Wisconsin isn't that good, as we can see with how they performed in the back half of the regular season. I think that James Madison is going to win. Next up, we have Duke and Vermont. A lot of people aren't really buying Duke this year. I do think that they will beat Vermont, though. So next up, we have Texas Tech and NC State. Texas Tech, I really like this Texas Tech team. It's hard to pick against NC State. They're red hot right now, but I think that Texas Tech is a better team, and I think that NC State's run comes to an end here. Okay, next up we have Kentucky and Oakland. I'm taking Kentucky there. They have too much talent to lose to a team like Oakland, in my opinion. Okay, so next up we have Florida, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be Colorado. I don't like Boise State. I think that they've always been underwhelming when they've gotten to the tournament. So I'm taking Florida regardless of who it is. They're just a much better team, and they come out of a very tough SEC conference and have beaten some quality teams like Auburn, Kentucky, and Alabama twice. So I'm going with Florida. Next up we have Marquette and Western Kentucky. Now Marquette, they don't deserve to be a 2 seed at all. Their conference is down this year. I'm not liking it. I think that there is going to be a 15-2 upset, and I think that if any team's going to be upset, it's going to be Marquette. So next up, we have Purdue. I know that Purdue lost to a 16 seed last year, but they're not going to let that happen again. I'm going with Purdue. Now we have Utah State and TCU. That one is tough. I mean, that one is really tough. TCU at times, I just don't trust this TCU team. They've had some good wins, but they've been very inconsistent. So I'm going with Utah State. So next up we have Gonzaga and McNeese. I think I'm going to go with McNeese. I don't think Gonzaga is really good this year. They play in a weak conference as always, and I think St. Mary's is better. So, yeah, I got McNeese in here. Next up we have Kansas and Samford. Now, Kansas has been very shaky this year. They have a lot of talent, and they did have some injuries, and hopefully some of those guys will be back. But they've been shaky, to say the least, this year. So I'm gonna call an upset. I mean, they probably should still win this game, but I got to get some upsets in here, and they look very upset prone. Okay, so next up we have South Carolina and Oregon. Now, Oregon, I think they're lucky to even be here. I think that I watched that championship game with Colorado. I kind of felt like Oregon got lucky in that game. I really feel like they're not going to go on a run this year like they have before. So I got South Carolina pulling it out. Solid Gamecocks team. Really a surprise. A lot of people thought they were going to be terrible, but yeah. Now we have Creighton and Akron. I like this Creighton team, but I'm going upset. I'm picking Akron here. Yeah, it's just, and I'm also going to predict the Colorado State will beat Texas. I think that I really like this Colorado State team, especially what they showed in the play-in game. I know I'm picking after it, and I probably wouldn't have picked them, but the way that they dominated Virginia, holding them to like 40-something points, is absolutely crazy. So I'm going with Colorado State. Next up, we have Tennessee and St. Peter's. Now, I know St. Peter's beat Kentucky a couple years ago and then went on a run to the Elite Eight, but that's not going to happen this year. I got Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee's just too much of a good team. So, anyway, let's get back to the second round. Now we have UConn and FAU. Like I said, I don't think the FAU is the same team they were last year. I don't think that they have the same run in them as they did last year. So I got UConn. Best team in college basketball, in my opinion. Now we have Auburn and San Diego State. I think that Auburn is going to be able to get up on San Diego State early and really pour it on the second half. And I really don't see this game being that close. Now we have BYU and Illinois. This is a tough matchup, but I think that Illinois overall is the better team. I could very easily see BYU winning this game, but I got Illinois. Now, Iowa State and Drake. I'm still high on this Iowa State team. They looked very impressive in that win over Houston, so I'm going with them. Now we have North Carolina and Mississippi State. I got to be honest, I'm going with a 1v8 upset here. I don't like this North Carolina team. I don't think that they're as good as they've been before. I mean, just watching how they lost to NC State in the finals, I don't think that they're deserving of one seed. I would have given it to Tennessee over them. So I got Mississippi State. Now we have St. Mary's and Alabama. This Alabama team, they don't know how to play defense, and St. Mary's is a dominant defensive team. So I think that if St. Mary's can slow their offense down a little bit, contain Mark Sears and Rylan Griffin and all those phenomenal three-point shooters, if they can slow them down a little bit, I trust that St. Mary's can get this win because Alabama just can't play defense, plain and simple. Now we got Baylor and New Mexico. Like I said, I really like this Baylor team. They've looked good all season to me. I mean, they have had some tough losses, but I got them winning over New Mexico. I think it will be close, but I got Baylor. Now we have Arizona and Nevada. So, I mean, this Arizona team has been very impressive this year. I think that they've had a history of getting into the tournament and then being underwhelming. I think that that's going to change this year, and I got Arizona advancing to the Sweet 16. Now we have Houston and Texas A&M. I think Houston is a good enough is a better team. I mean, I saw how they did in the second round against Auburn last year. I think that they're deserving of the one seed again, and honestly, that loss to Iowa State, I feel like that was more of a blessing in disguise because I think it really showed that they're not going to peak too early, not going to peak in the conference tournament, and I got them beating A&M and advancing to the Sweet 16. Now, here, like I said, I'm not that big a fan of this Duke team. I think that there's numerous flaws. So I got James Madison advancing. I'm very high on this James Madison team. Next up, we have Texas Tech and Kentucky. Like I said, I like this Texas Tech team. Kentucky's been kind of spotty at certain points. So losing to A&M in the SEC tournament. So I think that with Texas Tech being a better team, coming out of a very tough Big 12 conference as a 6th seed, I got them advancing. All right, now we have Florida and Western Kentucky. Now Florida's just the better team. In this bracket, I got them beating Western Kentucky. I mean, just plain and simple. Now we have Purdue and Utah State. I don't see Purdue. I don't see Purdue losing to Utah State either. I think they're angry about last year, and I had them advancing. Now McNeese and Stanford. I think that after maybe an upset, Stanford might have a bit of a hangover here, and I got McNeese. Next we have South Carolina versus Akron. I'm taking the Gamecocks. They're just simply the better team. Now we have Colorado State and Tennessee. Now this is a potential upset spot, but I still got Tennessee. Like I said, I think they should have been a 1 seed. But regardless, I had them advancing to the Sweet 16. Now, Auburn and UConn. As an Auburn fan, I was so mad whenever the brackets came out and we were in the same bracket as UConn. I think that UConn is the best team in the nation right now, and Auburn has yet to really upset some major team. I mean, we have had close games against Tennessee, for example, but I just don't think that we're going to be able to pull off an upset over UConn. So I got UConn advancing to the Elite Eight. Now, Illinois versus Iowa State. This is a very tough team. So I'm going to compare the statistics. Iowa State has a higher net ranking, and Illinois has a higher shooting percentage. So overall, oh man, this is tough. But I think I'm going to pick Illinois. It says higher free throw percentage. I know that that's kind of nitpicky, but we've seen time and time again, if you can't hit your free throws in March, or if you hit more of your free throws, you probably will win. It's tough for me to pick against Iowa State. I'm really high on this team, but I mean, it's just tough to pick against Illinois. Next, we have St. Mary's and Mississippi State. I have St. Mary's advancing to the Elite Eight. Like I said, great defensive team, and that's what's going to get you the wins in March. Next up, we have Baylor and Arizona. Right here, I'm gonna go with Arizona. I think that they're ready to go on a run in March. It's been they've been rather disappointing these past couple years. So yeah, I have Arizona going to the Elite Eight. Next up, we have Houston and James Madison. Now, this is where the Duke's run ends. I have Houston winning. Next up, we have Florida and Texas Tech. So, like I said, this Florida team has been rather inconsistent at some points, and I have them losing to Texas Tech. I have Texas Tech going to the Elite Eight. I really like this Texas Tech team. So, Purdue and McNeese. I have Purdue winning this. I think that they're ready. I think that they're hungry. And same with Tennessee. I have them beating South Carolina. So that will set up an Elite Eight. And the first game we have is going to be UConn and Illinois. Now, like I said, this UConn team, I'm really high. I really like them. I still think that they're the best team in the nation. And I think that they're better than Illinois, and I think that they will advance to the Final Four. Next up, we have St. Mary's in Arizona. I think that Arizona is going to win this game. I don't think that St. Mary's is quite on that level yet. They have a great defense, but overall, Arizona is just the better team. As we can see, free throw percentage is higher, and I have said before, that's what seems to be the difference in March. So over here, we have Houston and Texas Tech. Houston is the better team. I got them winning, just plain and simple. Now we have Purdue and Tennessee. So I think that here, I actually got Tennessee winning. I mean, I think that they're coming out of a tougher conference. I think that overall, I think their players, they have better depth than Purdue. I think that Ziegler, Vescovy, and people like that have been around for a while, and of course Dalton is very good. But I think they're more battle tested. I think they've played better teams, and I think that they're going to come ready for Purdue. So my Final Four: UConn, Arizona, Houston, and Tennessee. It's a 1-2 matchup, and I got Arizona pulling off the upset here. I think that I don't think that UConn's going to be able to repeat. It's really, really hard to repeat, and I just don't see it happening. I just don't see it being the year. I think that UConn kind of runs out of steam here. On the other side, I have Houston and Tennessee. Now, I have Houston winning. Like I said, I still think that they're a great team. I think that it's about time that they get a championship. So I think they're going to come ready, and I think that they're going to win. In fact, I actually think that I don't think that it's going to be that close, honestly. So now that will set up a national championship of Houston and Arizona. And real quick, before I pick, I'm going to do a quick comparison as it is the national championship. Houston has a higher net ranking of number 1. Arizona has a higher true shooting percentage. And overall win percentage, Houston is higher. Arizona has had some bad losses this year. And as far as free throw percentage, Arizona has that edge. But I just can't pick against this Houston team. I really think that this year's their year. I think that they're tired of losing. I think that they're ready for a championship. So I have Houston winning the national championship, and I believe that the score is going to be a score of 87-81. I think it's going to be close throughout the game. I think that Arizona is going to try to make it close, and then they're going to have to get to the point where they foul. Houston stretches out the lead out to 6 and all that stuff. So I believe that the 2024 March Madness champion is going to be the Houston Cougars.